everyone. This video is not sponsored. This is a Pantasy brand set that has over 3,400 pieces, and I bought it on Amazon, where it currently retails for $145 US without any discounts. There are also discounts available beyond that, at least as of the recording of this video, but $145 is what I paid for it. This is a modular building based on a 32 by 32 or standard base, and the design is actually by a pretty famous custom creator out there who does brick-based things on a pretty regular basis by the name of Oso Zhang. He has licensed his set design, some of his set designs, to other companies in the past, was not happy with the quality of some of the parts and the production. I'm happy to report already that the quality here was very good. I had literally two tiny issues, which I will point out as we go along. Pantasy has their own unique figure design, which is not the same as what you might be familiar with. No company can legally make these because they are very strongly and heavily trademarked, so other companies have to do something unique. If you don't like the figures that, for example, this company comes up with, just ignore them completely. It is a terrible reason to ignore a set or to discard the notion of even trying a different set just because you don't like the figures that it comes with. Because check out all the rest of the stuff. Again, over 3,400 pieces that are not the figure here. There is a little bit of misalignment right there. Don't worry about that. I'll show you just why that's coming about because of the way this goes together. This does have lights, as you may notice here, and this is not the first time Pantasy has done a set with lights, unlike what some people have been saying out there. I've reviewed a Pantasy set with lights in the past already. This is, however, the first Pantasy set that comes with lights that is minifig scale or designed to work with minifigures. Look, design. So I'll show you how they did their lights, and I'm very happy with the results there. First, here's what the set looks like with all lights in the room turned off. So only light from this set is being displayed right now. It's using 3 AAA batteries in a very easily accessible battery box. They do not give you any option in the set to connect this to USB. However, it does use a fairly standard connection size, so DIYers can definitely make that work pretty quickly and easily. But again, with what's included here, it gives you 3 AAAs and that's it. There are also some areas that you can open up on this. Switching around to the back, this has a squeaky little hinge out here because it uses 2 pieces of the same exact material. And then here's another one up here. The bricks are made by Go Bricks. You might be familiar with them. They do make the best, arguably the best bricks out there, at least the second best bricks out there. Pretty consistent quality. So opening area for the top, opening area for the bottom. And then the center floor right here also has an opening from the side. Here's what you see looking through that side port little area. And also, I'll go ahead and turn this around so you can see through the windows to just give you an idea of what it looks like to, peek inside of this without taking anything apart whatsoever. Because it's very nice to be able to see interiors without starting to separate out the different floors and everything. You can separate out the different floors on this as well, which I will show you as well. Got your little lobby area down here for the, again, this is an architecture firm. I didn't state that at the beginning. It's definitely in the video title. This is kind of the lobby area for it that displays some models of buildings that have been designed by the same designer in real life, but also represents designs from this firm in universe. And there's just a slightly adjusted angle for this top floor little port area. I recognize it might not be entirely appropriate to use words like port or window for each of these, but that's really what they are, right? It's a window for us to look inside and just take a peek into the world of the figures and of the space that's been built here. And then, when we're done looking at the stuff, then we can just close that back up, and basically we're just kind of closing a bunch of fourth walls that were created for us to be able to see inside. So let me go ahead and start taking some stuff apart. I'll go ahead and take the roof off, which is nice and simple, and we'll look one layer at a time. So here's what that looks like from the inside. This is obviously a conference room area with a projector on the table and a projection screen up there, or it could be representing a whiteboard that's just not been drawn on just yet. And you've got shelves over here with some texture for different things that are on the shelves there, represent books and magazines and such. The seats are specifically designed to hold the Pantasy design of minifigures because, again, there's a very, very toothy trademark that prevents what you might be used to from being used. So they do have a single stud that's used to hold on to them. This is a representation of a model of a little business park that was designed by this company. And then over here, you see the first of the light units. So almost all of the lights in this are like this. It's just a 1x4, basically an inverted tile or inverted tile, I think is the best way to say it, because it's the height of a plate, but then it has studs on the top side, just no anti-studs. You get 2 LEDs in there. All of the LEDs in this are very cool in color, which I think is appropriate enough. Hopefully they will delve into some different colors in the future as well. I think it's appropriate to have all the same quality of light throughout here. However, this is the only light that's in this section, and in fact, you will find that there is only one light for each interior area. That's actually something that I personally recommended to Pantasy when they were they're seeking feedback about how to do lighting, because we've got a major competitor out there that has already made themselves famous for doing lighting in buildings, but a lot of people find those to be too difficult or just too finicky. There's just too many things involved in setting up all the little wires and management of the wires for those lights. So my personal recommendation was that they keep it simple, just light each individual area. I think they've done an excellent job with that. Hopefully in the future, they will find better ways to centralize the light a little bit more. You saw from some angles, some of these areas looked a little bit dark, like there was a shadow, like as if the light was coming from a single direction, which indeed it is. You notice there's no light attached to the underside of the roof here, so the ceiling doesn't have any light on it in this case, and that makes it easy for us to remove that without having to deal with any wires. And then wire management itself goes through some nice pieces. These 1x2s are a Pantasy exclusive design that GoBricks is producing for them that has slots on the sides and on 3 sides. The other side is completely cleared up and it's hollow inside, so you can move wires vertically through there, which I think is absolutely brilliant. And then back here, you see you've got this little access panel to a power distribution board. There are those in a couple colors in this, the tan and then the gray color, just the regular gray color. So this is sending power up from below, and I'll take this floor off so that you'll be able to see that as well. And then they just kind of hide it away behind here. So very, very easy. Every single light in this has a simple and easy to see length. You don't have to look at what I'm used to is looking at instructions that'll tell you, okay, get the light with exactly these LEDs on it in this order at this specific length, like 88 millimeters. And don't confuse it with, sorry, there's a little dog hair in there. Don't confuse it with one that's 73 millimeters. They don't have any indication of that here. It's most of them are short, and then a couple of them are long, but it's really, really obvious and simple. Now, this is a roof section as well for the side. So let me go ahead and pull that up so you can see the interior here. Interestingly, this is the one area that does not have any light in it. And the only way that you would be able to see if it did have light in it was if you looked through these narrow windows right here. That's the only, just this top little pair. Let me get that for you. Right in here. That's the only area where we could see it, because this is all blocked off from the sides, blocked off from the back. It's got one window or glass door to the inside, but just this. So if they did have a light in here, you would be able to see light through just this small area. And I moved my lamp out of the way just a little bit. So let me just let you see the office space that's there a little bit. It is a little bit cramped, this one. And so I don't feel too bad about the fact that there isn't light in here. There's not a whole lot that is lost, but I do indeed hope that in the future they will find more ways to light up every single area with some sort of consistency. In this case, it's just an office that isn't populated at this time, but yeah, it would have been nice to have one there. But level of detail here, I think, is very good. I think the density of detail makes sense. Everything uses prints. Anytime that you see a decoration, it's using a print, not a sticker. What's missing is any sort of studding of the floor. A lot of people in this hobby want tiled floors and always ask for fully tiled floors. As a matter of fact, a lot of people say, do not let me see a single stud on this build. If you show a stud, that means that you're an inferior designer. And that's just so frustrating to me because this is made of bricks. You know, first of all, don't be afraid of bricks and studs. Secondly, where are the minifigures going to stand? Especially these big-headed minifigures, which I think are nice, but not everybody likes them. But no matter what, whether you like them or not, they have big heads, so they fall over easily. So yes, you can have it stand there, but as soon as there's a little bit of vibration, now it's falling over. If you had just had a single stud there, I'd be able to get it to stay in one spot, and it's not going anywhere. So that's definitely something that's missing. Let me go ahead and take off the next floor, which is going to surprise you because I'm not going to lift this here. Instead, I'm going to go to the side and pull all of this out. What? Yeah, all of this gets built last. You build all this up. You start from the bottom, obviously, start to get some height into it, and then you build all this, and then you build this side section, which includes that small office here, and then a break room area down here, which has the couch, which is facing out towards the outside right now. So you can see it best here. There's a little coffee maker over there, and some interior I don't know. I'm assuming it's supposed to be like fake tree inside there just for the sake of decor. And this is one of the places where I encountered poor quality. So you see one, it's the tiniest thing, the most insignificant thing. You see one little bit where there's a twig that doesn't have anything attached to it. This should be attached to it. It's just loose. That twig right there, it's just a little bit too small. So it's just a little bit loose and would fall off. So I just left it off, and partially as a reminder that I needed to let you guys know about that. Again, it's a very tiny thing, but I did want to call it out. If this doesn't make sense to you, look at buildings in like Korea or Japan, especially. Like you'll see a lot of this where they've got a lot of both electricity and data cables, some of them old and not used anymore, but above ground. And you'll see a lot of things that are connected like that. You got a couple AC units out here as well. And then on the main building, this is the light that is shining into the break room. And you see there's no light up above to shine into the office. So that's the one spot where there's something missing. Now I can go ahead and separate these floors here because that section on the side was connected via Technic pins into these two holes right here. And that's why there was a little bit of misalignment of this line, this tan line out here, just because it wasn't quite all the way in. It wasn't quite pushed all the way in. It doesn't align absolutely perfectly, I found there. Now, when I pull this off, you're going to see that the light right here just turned off because, well, would you look at that? They're using that style of connection, which is familiar to many viewers of this channel. That style of connection, these are actually spring-loaded, and I've been seeing these for many years. They've been around for quite some time, but in the context of the brick world, they're not all that common yet, but they work great. When they work great. I did experience, though, and this is the second of two quality issues. Sorry, I keep getting some dog hairs showing up in here because I do have a dog. On occasion, when I separate two of these floors, this piece will get stuck to the part that it connects to. It will stay rather than coming up the way that it's supposed to. That's the same problem that one of the other companies has had with those exact pieces. And the problem is that either this or the part on top needs less clutch power, so it just doesn't stick as well. Unfortunately, it just holds itself together just a tiny bit too much, those two studs. Interestingly, unlike the other company that does this style, major company that does this style, I did not need to apply this little adhesive backed strip right here that has the conductors on it. It is tack welded in the center. The copper is actually tack welded onto a surface below, and it was pre-attached in place. So that's nice and convenient. And then over here, this is where the battery is. So I can show you the battery box from the top now that this is taken off. And you've got some of the wire management pieces in there. You see some excess wire here that's just kind of bundled up, and it basically just places itself there just as you run the wires. You don't really have to do a lot of intentional wire management with this. This is the worst that it gets. You've also got a power distribution box right there. However, you don't want to have to take part of the building apart to get access to the battery. At least I don't think you do. And thankfully you don't, because you can access this from the outside. It's a little tray, and then you can turn this off and on. And you can also, again, take this out and change the batteries. 3 AAAs are used in there. I'm assuming that this would be a good place to run a wire out if you do a DIY solution, but you don't have to do it there. You can connect down below instead to get a little bit closer to the ground. But this is nice access here. And then you see you've got this kind of MC Escher style, half exposed, half indoor, half outdoor, kind of covered stairwell that cuts into the side with the diagonals like that, which is kind of nice. It's something different. It's artful. And then there's an attic design area with a small drafting table right there, another model of a representation of a building that one of these designers here at this firm has designed. You've got the spiral staircase, which leads down to the center floor, kind of the main design floor. There's another model over there of another building. I really enjoyed putting together these little micro scale builds as well. A little bit of color, more foliage, fake foliage around there. Plenty of space for the wiring to be routed through. Really did not have any issue with that. This is where the most exposed wires are, over here in this corner, especially those vertical ones. You can see that twisted pair right there. Like I said, it's just the worst that it gets. And then you've got another little storage space back there, which totally makes sense. And we already saw the large drafting table from the outside little window that you're able to open up. Now I'll go ahead and remove this last floor, and it does. Oh, there it goes. It's happening. I see that the light has stayed on, so now I can actually demonstrate this right here where the disconnect has not occurred. I did not do that on purpose. It's just something that happens from time to time. Again, because the clutch power between these two parts is just a little bit too high. It just needs to be reduced. You really don't need to have good strength in those parts. And yeah, that's just something that they will learn soon enough. And so I'll go ahead and disconnect that. Obviously, power is going down from above. So this area is still powered right now because that's where the battery is. But power is being sent downward from there. And otherwise, wire management, again, is pretty convenient. They even have this little thing right here, this little flap, which hides the lowest of the power distribution boards, which is nice and convenient. Again, a very easy space to put your extra wire, your excess wire, and then very short travel to the light that provides lighting to this little store off to the side, which is just an add-on, and then to the lobby as well. One light for each, equal length wires. You don't have to go through and try to figure out what goes where. But again, because it's only off to one side, you do have a limited amount of light that gets spread through there. You do want to kind of choose your angle. It definitely makes a difference how you angle these because they are partially directional, but you do end up getting some shadows on one side. So it's not completely even lighting all throughout. Pretty nice compromise though. Super simple to put together. Definitely low stress there. There's another one of the models, and then you can just see this one a little bit better. And also there are some prints up on the walls as well. And then beneath this is where the restroom is. You can see the little print, which is just a 1x1 tile. Yes, this does squeak when it opens up. And then there's the restroom there. So you probably saw that already. And then this off to the side, it's called The Plate. And it's just a dinnerware store. That's what it is. Just a small little store off to the side. Lots of different cutlery, and you got some bowls, maybe some pans and some dishes, and a little place to check out, and that's it. Another kind of art and design related space, but very different in its purpose. You got some cups back there as well. And again, a good level of detail, I think, without going too far with it, without making things too dense. I like the density. And also some additional detailing on the outside, some additional greebling, some additional suggestion of life. You even got the trash and recycling little bins out here. Totally makes sense. Got a downpipe, a little bit of water coming out of that as well. So these things all pretty much make sense. And outside, In front, there are some studs, so you can attach some people out there. It's just you don't have the same thing inside. Last thing feature-wise that I can really tell you about here that's interesting is that all of this is built on a plate. A plate. Look at this. It is a single 32 by 32, not a base plate. Very few people do base plates anymore. Very few want to use base plates because they are inferior. That's why the main L brand stopped using them on everything that they absolutely could. Many years ago. Only one line still has them. Modular building still uses them. Most companies have switched, and most lines have switched to using plates. But this is the first time that I've seen a modular building just on a single plate at retail that you can just buy. A lot of people have done the conversions to switch them to plates, and this is just so sturdy, so easy, so simple. And I can grab the entire building. I mean, I can grab the building from out here even, and it's not peeling off. It just has a lot more strength, and it's just much more confidence inspiring. This entire building is pretty strong and holds itself together. You know, it's got a lot of rigidity, even each individual floor. So I'm happy about that. It feels like something that wants to stay together and that I can pick up and just move if I want to rearrange it or display it in a different spot. So that is good. Also, I wanted to point out that the build of this does not start with an hour of putting tiles down, you know, counting studs and putting down tiles. They have you put some down, and then they have you run the elevated area over here, which is an elevated floor, has kind of a foundation to it, and start bringing some verticality into it so they don't completely bore you right from the very beginning with just putting down flats across the entire 32 by 32 space. They switch it up, and overall the pacing felt good. Said it before, I'll say it again. I like Pantasy's unique figure design. I think they look very good. The quality of production here is excellent. These feel like collectible figures themselves. They have a lot of personality. The plastic feels good. And these to me just have kind of a Nendoroid kind of feel, or maybe Pop Mart. Definitely not Funko Pop. It's definitely better than Funko Pop. You know, the quality level here is significantly better. And yeah, it just definitely feels like a design that deserves to exist on the market. And if these didn't exist, probably people would like these better, is my guess. But we can't imagine a world when these in which these don't exist, because these have existed for so long and people are just completely 100% biased in their favor. Thus, these aren't going to be able to get, I think, the respect that they deserve. What I don't like about these is that they have limited articulation in that the arms can move, the wrists can turn, the heads can turn and stuff, but legs cannot move. And that's why they give you separate pieces for sitting with these. Yep, seated legs for every single figure. The seated version of feet, which you do put on individually, don't have any anti-studs on them because they don't need them. But underneath here, there is a hole, because that's what attaches to the ground. Unfortunately, I believe if they used two, they could get in trouble with the trademark for these, which again, I say is very extremely specific. And I think you're supposed to not use two. Otherwise, like I said, you can get in trouble. Anyway, this is what they've done. And it's too bad you can't just bend the legs, you know. Here are the last two figures. This is the lady who runs the plate, you know, the small shop on the side. And this is the owner of the architecture firm. Notice the more shiny hair over here. Somebody pointed that out, more shiny than the others. I personally prefer the more satin look. I think it just looks more premium. The ponytail is its own piece that you attach separately, and all the hair pieces are interchangeable as far as I can tell. Again, this has over 3,400 pieces and it costs $145 without any discounts, which is just a preposterous value. That's with no stickers and with a lighting kit that's fully integrated in it. If this was from the Danish brand, you would expect this amount of stuff to be at least $250 today. It would have a base plate rather than a plate. It would not have a full set of lighting. It would not have as many prints in it as this does, exclusive prints especially. You know, so value-wise, this is just pretty dang amazing. A lot of people are not going to love this design, this kind of, 1970s, I want to say, like roughly, sort of modernism design with just a few little deconstructivist notes and a little bit of brutalism going on over here. You know, it's just not for everybody, especially with this very anti-Black bold color scheme of like the raw concrete and the fake wood slat kind of really, really basic material, kind of brutalist inspired color scheme. Fortunately, it is broken up by some things. I personally like it, in spite of the fact that I am kind of anti-brutalist in general. I like, because I like putting the whole thing together, and it's just really interesting how it comes together. Some of the angles, some of the unexpected orders of operation. This little area over here, it's just a nice little touch. I kind of grew up around architecture like this, so it's kind of familiar with it. Saw it and touched it, was in buildings like this a little bit too much. So maybe there's a little bit of bias there, but again, not everybody's going to like this style, but I think that Pantasy has done a good thing here. I think that also Zhang, who does use this style quite frequently, has a good thing going and knows how to do it, knows some really interesting approaches to the design, doing it with a plastic brick system. And definitely this set is not simply like a Lego mock that's been translated into a Pantasy box. This uses a bunch of pieces that GoBricks has that the big L brand doesn't have. That the Danish brand doesn't have. This is definitely designed specifically for the modern era with modern parts. And I think an excellent job has been done here. I'm very happy with this. It is not perfect, though. They need to continue to improve the lighting. This is the first time they've done lighting like this with this sort of system in a minifig scaled thing. I think it's off to a great start. I love how simple it is, and I think they need to maintain that simplicity. It's going to be a fight to maintain that simplicity because, okay, even just to get the light into this one little office space over here that I mentioned that doesn't have the light, where you just see a little bit more light right there, if they added it in, that would take a bunch of extra work. They would need to have an extra connector in here. It would change the fundamental approach to, maybe they wouldn't have this section be separating out completely to the side. They have to do it differently. So I get that. I understand the struggle. I feel the struggle, but I do hope that they'll keep the electronics simple for these kits as they go forward, because I think that that's an important niche that a lot of people are going to want. A lot of people are going to want to build something that's based on bricks, and they're going to want to take advantage of lights. They're going to want to see lights because everybody wants to see lights now. So once you've seen lights once, you don't want to go back to not seeing lights. You don't want to see a building that looks completely dead, because it's that big of a difference between having lights and not. Here, let me go ahead and turn this off and make it look like a traditional modular building. It's now dead inside, just like that. To appreciate the interior details, you need to start taking floors off. It completely changes everything. It's just interesting times that we live in now. And I look forward to definitely seeing more. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that this video was of some value to you, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye for now.